Good morning everyone, welcome back to thepurplemarker.com YouTube videos. Today I'm going to be making a fun caricature sculpture, wow that's a mouthful, using Zart Arts Discovery Oz Clay air drying modelling clay. I've got the 2 kilo white. This one dries in the open air and is ideal for classroom use. I've already opened the packet. Comes double sealed with plastic wrapping. Now I've got a wire cutter I'm going to use to help. So I'm just going to slice through to get a more manageable piece. Then I'll wrap the rest to prevent it drying out unnecessarily. And put that to the side. Okay. So first of all, I'm going to make a base to put my clay piece on. I'm going to start by ensuring there's no air bubbles, but creating a nice shape to mount my caricature's feet. And this may stick a little to this surface. Might stick it back on the plastic. Okay, I'm going to roll a couple of legs. These need to be drying while I'm making the remainder of the body, the feet, the head. So long movements. I roll from the tip of my fingers to the heel of my palm to create nice even rolls without any flat spots. There's nothing worse than getting a flat spot. I think that's about the right width for the legs. I'm just going to snap one, put that aside to start drying, smoothing out any areas that are not so nice looking. And I think that might be another one that's fairly good. Make them about the same length. The rest can be put away. Actually, I should have made a third one just in case. Okay, I'm going to start with a shoe to go onto. So I might split that into two shoes. So I start by making a fairly oblong shape or eggy shape in clay. Shape it around to make it look a bit more shoe-like. Make the other. So you'll need the same amount of clay. Should be about the same size. Okay, I'll put those aside for a minute. I need to make the bottom to go on the shoe. So the sole of the shoe. Just flattening out a piece here. I'm going to pop it on the bottom. Then I'll just use the back end of a paintbrush to create a sole for the shoe. Take off any excess. Use a trimming tool if need to. Gathering up any bits that come off. And of course always smoothing as you go. Create a nice little edge. to show the sole is different from the bottom of the shoe. Whoops, missed that a little bit. Just go back in and smooth down. Afterwards, when it's dried up a little, I'll smooth everything down before I start adding details. Make another sole for the other shoe. I might need to add a little more clay to that. Pop that onto the bottom. Put the textured sole in. I'm just pressing down. Might use a needle tool instead. Trim away the excess. It's much neater than the first one. Just go back over those indents. Much nicer looking shoe. Gathering up my scraps, try not to waste any, ever. I might add some details into the shoes. Now, obviously, there's going to be a heel on the back of the shoe. And a toe. And I draw a line through the middle. Repeat for the other one. A heel. Double lines down the center. A toe. And a line down the middle. Okay, so I'm just going to turn my legs over very slightly so the drying occurs on all angles. I need to create a bit of a space for the socks. So if this is the toe, and I've not pressed right down to the bottom, but I just wiggle the back end of a modeling tool handle. Whoops, that one's gone a bit awry. I just fix that up because the clay is still fairly plastic. Just pat it down to neaten it up again. Create a couple of socks. So the sock is simply made by rolling a conical shape. It just sits inside the shoe, and then I simply press down, create the hole for the leg again. And then I'm simply going to use my needle tool and put some ridges in for the sock. Take off any little burrs, which I completely missed. Holding the clay very gently. There is one foot, which I'll attach in a moment. Again, removing burrs. So just adding a little decoration adds a bit of interest to your sculpture. There's another one he could probably do with some shoelaces. So I'll just make a couple of very small balls. I might add a little liquid to these just to make them stick a little. So we use the score and slip technique. So just scoring. Add a little water. Pop that onto the shoe. Needle tool. Create a little shoelace. Repeat with the other side. Score first. Add a little water to make slip. Press it down. Needle tool hole. Very cute little shoes. Almost looks like an unhappy face. And create a lace. I'll need to work with this fairly quickly because it will break otherwise. So I just do a very quick loop the loop. Stick that down. On the top of the shoe. Oh, that one has broken. See if I can fix that. A little bit of water. Just join those back together. As you can use the water to just smooth out any imperfections in your clay as well. This one I might put the words Albert into the clay, or even Einstein. I'll put my maker's mark on the clay afterwards. Right, so repeat the shoelaces for the other side. Let's do score and slip. Score and slip. And another. Let's roll these over the other way again. Want that clay to harden up as quickly as possible. So a little score and a little score. bit of slip. Pop that one down. Now another little lace. So again, keep it moving. Oops, I don't believe that one happened like that. Again, make the loop, twist it around quickly, make the other loop, then you can lift and place onto your shoes. Might need to add a little water on here just to keep it fairly plastic. I'm going to allow those to dry quite well. Okay, while I'm waiting for those, I'm going to start with the body. Now I need to use probably a third of the clay that I took out. And once again, I'm going to make almost like a triangular pyramid, but rounded on the bottom. And then squashed a little. So this is going to be the base of my sculpture. It's quite thick, so I like to hollow it out. So I'm going to have one leg in there. Oh, actually I might put shorts on this one. So let's hollow him quite a lot. And let's put some shorts. So, triangle shapes again. I'm going to add one in here. And I'll add a little more clay. Another over here. That one seems to have too much. That's easy fixed. Tap out the bottom. The thing with sculptures is they can be seen from all angles, so you really do need to make sure that what you're doing is neat. So I like to view from all sides to make sure that I've got a fairly good view of each of the pieces. Now I can clean up with a brush, tidy up. So I'm going to put Einstein in a little pair of shorts so we can see his long gangly legs. Not that he had long dangly legs, but I did say it's a caricature. And we'll add some decoration to make this look like a pair of shorts, but I might give it a few minutes just to stiffen up a little. I've got my blinds closed in here, so it may be a little dark in here today, but that's because I don't want excessive heat drying the clay too quickly. I'll smooth that out a little and I'll leave that aside to dry. Now he needs some arms And the arms, once again, triangular shaped. I tap on the ends just to give me that flat cone shape. And then I'll attach the arms. A little bit of scoring. Some slip. So when we do the join here, it's a little push and a wiggle. And you'll notice the clay sticks quite well. We use the same basic techniques that you would if you were doing ceramic clay pieces. I tidy the edges up with brush. Won't matter too much. I'm going to paint over this with acrylic paint once it's all dry. Make another arm. Same process. Now he needs to be about the same size and shape as the other one. This time I'll score this side. So this roughs up the clay. The reason this works so well is because clay typically has very small platelets that are flat disc-like pieces of the material, the fibre, the fabric, whatever you want to call it. And when they're wet, they lay flat against each other. Which is why sometimes it can be difficult to actually pull clay apart. It actually acts like a suction. So if you try and pull it this way, it's actually a lot harder. But if you twist it or slide it, they smoothly glide across each other. Or you could use a wire cutter like you saw me do earlier. Very thin wire, just glides through quite easily. So you can see the caricature starting to take some shape now. So he needs a head. And for his head, I create another slightly rounded shape. But I create a small piece that's going to go inside there. And I pull his face, just gently coaxing the clay into a pointed area to represent a nose, a little cute nose. Now to create his eyes, I just go in with the back end of the paintbrush. I'm going to need some more clay, so I'm going to have to remove this from here. Should still dry over here. Unwrap my big piece of clay. I'll take off another section because I still need to make his hair. So you'll see I'll just twist. That should be enough. Rewrap the remainder. Okay, plenty of clay here. So I need some eyebrows. He's got great big bushy eyebrows. Anyone that knows what Einstein looks like. Bushy eyebrows and bushy hair. So I will just score the eyebrow area, because if I wanted I could just leave it like that, but no, I want him to have some really seriously bushy eyebrows. So score, slip, stick the eyebrows on, tidy them up a little, ready for the decoration. This is the fun part. Just wipe that off on my cloth. Oops, he's just moving around a little bit. Giving him some nice bushy eyebrows. Give him another one on the other side. A little bit of clay. A bit too much. Score out the small sausage, or the roll. In this case we call them coils. If you're working with younger children, they call them sausages. But if you teach them the correct term early, it saves you having to do it a lot more when they're older. So roughen up the eyebrows. Gently hold the other side. I'll work with the other hand. You can see now he's got some nice big eyebrows. I might just tidy around, because I don't think he had a monobrow. Just want that to be quite distinct, that it is two separate eyebrows. Wipe off a little of the moisture. I do want it to dry. You can see his little face starting to take shape. The other thing he had was a nice bushy moustache. So take a little bit more clay, again, roll another coil, squash off the ends a little bit. Just give him nostrils, and I'm going to score where his moustache would go. Score on the clay. Add water to create slip, which is really just watery clay. Flip this over. And a little press and a wiggle, and then add decoration, texture to show that it's whiskers. Texture's your best friend when it comes to clay. Righto. So now his head actually needs to join his body here. Just use the end of this tool again. Just going to press in here. Going to score on the bottom. Score over here. I think that's still a bit narrow. Add some slip. pop his head on, give it a wiggle and a gentle squeeze. We don't want that falling off at a later date. And Einstein, oh, I've squashed his eyebrow. Okay, I'll just shape that back up again. And I'll score that one more time. It's the first time using this modelling clay. And it is rather damp and pliable. So far, little Einstein is looking fairly cute. Very, very gentle touches. Oh, his nose looks a little wonky. Okay, we'll get rid of those nostrils and put those in later. Okay. Okay, so to make his hair, I'm going to make a ton of coils. And these I'm going to score. I start at the bottom of his head, as we can layer them. Might be a bit long. Okay, I can put that one at the front. Score. Water. And just push it on and smooth it down. I'll make a few for the back. Just go around and start adding lots of crazy wild hair. I'll lift him carefully just so you can see. I'm just going to start layering it all over the place. So, just a bit of a squashed up sausagey shape. I can drag a little of the clay over, just to stick it down. Put some slightly larger ones around the back. It's just leaning a little bit. Don't like that he's leaning. Score again, bit of slip. Starting to look more like Sonic the Hedgehog at the moment. Well, that's okay. It does take quite a while to get these all on. So drawing to the end of the Western Australian summer school holidays. Got 1 week left off of school. I thought it's an opportunity to make a video before I go back to school. Let's try this out. I wouldn't mind it if some of my more advanced students could have a go at this. Thing is, it's a process that takes quite a while if you want to do it successfully. And unfortunately, children don't always follow instructions, but that's a challenge I think I might take on. I'll get them to come up with their own person that they would like to have a go at making. I'll talk them through the steps. They can take notes. And then the following week, they'll be given their piece of clay, or the following fortnight, given their piece of clay, and they'll have a double lesson block that they can use to create their character. Time for it to dry out, which will give them enough time to think about how they're going to paint or glaze it. Turn him back around. Yeah, he's really starting to come together now. Just gently drop him back so you can see. Give his hair the opportunity to dry out a little bit. You don't want it too pointy. If we glaze this, what'll happen is the glaze will become quite sharp. We don't want that. So smoothing the joins. Just turn my legs again. They're starting to stiffen up, but not really fast enough. I'll just move them out of the way so I don't squash them. Keep adding more and more hair till I get the effect that I want. Doesn't matter if I smooth onto that one because I'm going to add more over the top, as you'll see. very gentle push, and then I'll just smooth some out. Add another. You can see my join here not looking the best. I can change that up afterwards, tidy it up with a brush. Just like that clay to be joined around the neck area. Okay, needle tool. Now I pull the needle tool, I don't poke into the clay, otherwise it creates big ridges. I don't really want that. I just want some uneven surfaces. Try not to have any sharp edges. So you can see Einstein's starting to come together. It's looking a bit Medusa-like. That's all right. Let's speed this process up for you. It can be a bit boring to watch. So we're almost at the end of putting his hair on. So you can see I'm just roughing up this back area. Just got a few more things to make for him. Hands. I might make him a little clipboard as well. See how much clay I've got left at the end. And another one. Okay, let's have a look at him from the front. Oh, we've kind of lost his eyebrows a bit here, so I might bring his hair up and out. And this one. Up and out. Don't like those eyebrows now. Easily fixed. I'll take them out just by using a wet brush to remove the clay. And I'll scratch some in afterwards. Okay, well, while I've got him here, I might just get his hair moving out a bit from his face. Smoothing that, and then I can start adding details. So let's give him a nice collar and a tie and a cardigan. This is where I could do with a nice high banding wheel. Then I would be able to see what I'm doing simply by turning the wheel. But you can see the texture, the addition of texture actually makes it quite interesting. Just very carefully going to flip him over. It's still very plastic, this clay, which means that any small indentations are going to show through quite a lot. So carrying that pattern around, so it goes right around the bottom of the sleeve. Just don't want it to look any different. Remember, we see these from 360-degree angles, and when we add texture it should flow through. There's collar at the top, and trying not to scrape too deeply into the clay. Just want to create a sort of woolly look to this, and whatever I do there I have to do to the bottom of the cardie as well. There's another edge, This is actually quite heavy, but I've probably used, I don't know, maybe a quarter of the pack. So that was 2 kilos, so about 500 grams of clay all up. I don't need any more clay. What I do need are these pieces all to start to dry and melt together. Now, his hair, also a bit wild and woolly. I'm going to add some texture very carefully into his hair as well. Just very gently. That one there's big. Don't like that one being that big. So when I paint his hair, I'm actually going to do an antique look. So I'll paint it a very dark grey to start with, and then I go over it with a light grey or white, and then rub it back a little bit. Creates a really interesting look. Create that shadow in his hair. So this is just one view of his hair, and as you can see, it can be a bit tricky. We'll leave no stone unturned. Turn him over. Do what we see at the front of his hair. Cleaning those burrs off because they will accumulate and drag through the clay. And we really don't want that. Just want to see those hair strands. This touch makes all the difference to how your Einstein will look. Sorry if my head keeps popping in the way. It's just one of those close-up things that you need to do. So I'm following the direction of the hair. So starting at the roots down to the tips. That one didn't want to stick, so I'll just take some of that clay away, stick that back in there, and use my blending tool to get it on there. And then let's add the texture that way. It's dried out a little, so it's not quite so pliable now. Let's go back in, check the moustache, check the eyebrows, because they look a bit better now. Check I've got the eyes in. Oops, get rid of that off of there. And then you can see my Einstein is really starting to come on. Oh, he's still got his hands to do. So I've got a little bit of clay left over. And this is a bit of fun to do. So I need 2 pieces and make a teardrop shape. flatten it out a bit. And then I take, not that one, a tool just to make a thumb, and a thumb, and we join them the same way as we have with everything else. So score, needle tool, needle tool, just go around the edges and around those. Smooth it out as you go. And the other one, pop it in, smooth it out as you go. And then you have some nice little hands. Only a couple of things left to do for him. Going to move this clay, put it back in the bag. You don't need any more clay at this stage, so I don't want that drying out unnecessarily. Let's see if I could seal the bag. Pop that out of the way. Pick up any clay pieces that are floating around. You don't want dry clay dust everywhere. I'm going to just pop that into my damp cloth. I'm going to use a dryer. I have a craft gun here. This is a Crafter's Choice craft gun. These are quite useful. I use it to help dry out my clay pieces. I use it for drying inks. But in this case, I'm going to use it to stiffen up these legs because they're still really soft. I need them to be quite stiff. The alternative is to put wire in them. So when the legs are dried up, they stand up in here. I'll hot glue them in. I might shorten them actually. I'll give him a bit of a dry as well. Oh, I didn't decorate his tie. Let's give him a polka dot tie. So just a few final details. Then I will pop all of my Einstein, his legs and his base with the feet on it, outside to dry in the heat, but in the shade, as it's between 30 and 35 degrees in Western Australia. This should not take too long. But you might even see me get the hot air gun or the craft blower onto it for a few minutes. The next time you see this, it should be completely dry and we'll be back to paint it. Thank you for watching today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you all again soon at the purple marker. Thanks for watching.
Shoe toggles. In fact, I think I still might give him some pockets on his pants. Every scientist knows the value of pockets. I think we may be done. Let's just put him back and dry. I'll be back when it's a bit stiffer.
After allowing Einstein and all of his parts to dry thoroughly for 3 to 4 days, I joined all the parts with PVA glue. In my next video, you will see me apply the acrylic paint to complete my Einstein sculpture.